Congressman Caleb Collier says that this proposal is meant to protect their Second Amendment
I'm
rights.
proposing that the city of Spokane Valley issue a proclamation stating that our city is a Second Amendment sanctuary city.
Welcome to the fire.
Today on Church and State, EPA to limit toxic forever chemicals in drinking water. This rabbit trail is going to get a whole lot more interesting.
Also, we have before our very eyes the rise of possible Gog and Magog going on in China and Russia.
Plus, false pastor says drag is holy. Hello, Christian Patriots, and welcome to Church and State, where we strive to plug you into the pew and plug you into politics. I'm your host, Caleb Collier. With me, as always, Pastor Gabe Blomgren.
Thanks for being online with us. Those of you who are with us, Jenny Appleton, I don't know if I pronounced your name right. You just thumbs upped us. Thanks for being online with us. Everyone, please continue to support us. We're not going to stay very long because we have such good stories. Support us at churchandstate.media. Please connect with any of our products that are so suit you, but we thank you so much for being online with us. Thank you to all our ACN listeners who are with us and support us. And then please be praying for our nation. As we talked yesterday, Donald Trump under a microscope. I'm guessing and predicting 24 hours later, we're pre-recording this, that still nothing has happened. It's going to be watching, but
there is a movement right now, Gabe, that people are saying don't buy anything this Saturday or this Sunday to really trying to kind of hit them in the piggy bank, as it were. Now, Gabe, these ideas have manifested before. Not a lot of support. In fact, Americans, we were talking about this off air, Gabe. A lot of Americans, we can't go a single day without buying something. We're so consumer driven. But that being said, if you feel like God is putting it on your heart to not buy anything Saturday and Sunday, do so, because we do need to come up with creative ways to push back against the current globalist agenda.
What's funny is Newsweek put out an article yesterday. We're not going to cover this today very much. Just going to say this. Trump supporters plan bank run to protest his arrest. This is interesting. I thought maybe this could be a projection, because what we've seen with Silicon Valley Bank, we've seen Swiss Bank, all these banks being shut down or even bought up for pennies on the dollar. We could see a bank run, and then they try to blame it on all of us patriots. But then on the left side, the Democrats are saying, what do the right even have in their bank accounts? They've spent all their money on Trump flags. They were making, funny comments that the right,
oh my gosh,
the right doesn't even have any money. They've wasted all their money on,
you know what the right doesn't have is government money.
Right.
Let me correct that statement. No, we may not have money. Thanks, Biden, in your Build Back Better. Yeah, the economy is in shambles because of your agenda, but we don't typically take all these handouts and bailouts. That's for the Democrats. So if anybody has money in their account, it's because the government has printed it and handed it over to the people that they believe are on their side or that they can control.
Well, speaking of Biden, and this tweet comes from Colin Rugg, somebody I follow. It says, while everyone is distracted with Trump's impending arrest, President Xi just called Putin his dear friend. And I'm not going to play it, but I don't want to hear it because it takes forever, but you can, those of you who are on screen with us, Caleb and I are just baffled. We have years of talking about Gog and Magog, and basically Gog, we've all known that Russia, and ever since communism, Russia was supposedly really powerful, which is interesting because Gog is a person who rules over the land of Magog. Gog is called the Prince of Rosh, and Rosh is the old root word for the land of Russia. So we've always known that Gog is Russia. We've always established that. And Caleb was like, well, how can China be Magog? Because we know, that was always about
Kings of the East.
Kings of the East. But here's the thing. We can very much infer Russia is being ruled over and kind of puppeted. Who has the money, Caleb?
Who has the money?
China's got way more money. China's got way more flex.
Well, so in that prophecy, Ezekiel 38:39, it says that there will be a hook placed in the jaw of Gog and Magog. And traditionally what people...
And all Magog means is just prince over.
Yes,
just who's somebody ruling over Russia.
But specifically within that prophecy, most theologians have taken that to mean that there is going to be something typically economical that is going to be that hook that is placed into Russia's jaw that will force them into attacking Israel. Now, a lot of people have pointed to the fact that they are very friendly with Iran. And
right now,
Syria.
Saudi Arabia is partnered with Iran. We're seeing these
so,
weird connections.
So it could be that oil connection there that's bringing them into an attack. Now, the Chinese are also supposedly, if you're reading the book of Revelation, that the waters of the river will dry up, allowing for the kings of the east to push in and also mount this attack against the nation of Israel.
Look at the body language just for a second. I want you to look at the body language. Who's in charge?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, I could see that. Although you could say that Putin is Putin's. I have some respect for the guy. The guy looks like he's playing poker there. Honestly.
Yeah. This right here, this next clip. This is not boring, Caleb. I'm telling you, man. This right here is you're gonna remember this because this man.
Pointing out these guys. Look at
the body language.
But look at how they salute and like eyeball him. Like, I'm sorry, as a military guy, these guys look ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, yes, very ornate. The doors are absolutely majestic, and there's a lot of fanfare.
So those of you on radio, what's going on right now to describe it is we have just in Russia the huge fanfare of the two global magnates of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin coming and meeting each other in a big, huge Russian iconic hall. They got all their little conglomerates there. This image right here makes me have a stomachache for our future young men who are in the military right now. Those of you who have enlisted, those of you who are good friends of mine who are in the United States Marine Corps, those of you who are serving right now, I look at this. I'm not scared for you, but I'm just like, this right now is cohesive, and it's apparent your future could be affected. Very much so. Very much so. And it's not a light thing that this has happened on Joe Biden's watch. We've talked about the fact that he is he's not leading anything.
No. He's an absolute puppet. He's the perfect puppet because he's obviously got cognitive issues. Just feed him ice cream.
So much of our money. We've spent so much of our money, billions upon billions, in feeding the Ukraine war, and which
benefits us how?
How?
Yeah,
no.
Exactly. So, Gabe, love it. Keep your eye on what is occurring in China and Russia. Remember, we talked about this, I believe, last week. The globalists have realized that China is not someone that they can control, and so they kicked them to the wayside. What did China do? Immediately went to Russia and was able to reunite, because this is not something that's new, but had been able to reunite that friendship, that so-called friendship, as
the
friendly
partnership
as you can get.
of, hey, you're a communist and I'm a
we're
communist.
So communists should work together.
You know, and everybody be careful. You know, even Stu Peters claims that Russia is a Christian country or whatever. Guys, communism is from the pit of hell. And Russia is a communist country.
I get what he's saying, that there is, especially within the Orthodox, that there is a grand Christian history within Russia. But yeah, communism, as you just said, Gabe, it's no. Yeah. All right. Speaking of non-Christians, let's talk about this false pastor. I'm sorry, Gabe, you and I were saying some things that probably would get us kicked off the air as we listen to this guy. I want our audience to hear it, and then we can provide comments. So go ahead and play this thing.
Those of you who are on radio, I'm just going to describe. This is a pastor. He's got like a
rainbow
shawl, and then there's a cross in the background. So prepare yourself. Maybe have Q-tips or something in nearby to
jam out your, literally destroy your earbuds.
Yeah. So here we go.
Go ahead.
Drag is holy. There has been an assault on the rights of drag performers in this country, and we must call out the hypocrisy and the injustice. Jesus called himself a mother hen longing to gather up her chicks. Gender is a construct, you see. And if Jesus can be a mother hen, then you can dress in drag.
Okay, stop. That was a headfirst dive into an absolute train wreck of a statement. I have no idea why you would infer that. Jesus says, I'm like a mother hen who wants to protect her sheep. Caleb, I have chickens. Okay. I've seen, there's some hens that respond, they attack my hand when I try to take their eggs. There's nothing strange about that whatsoever.
The jump is insane to say that Jesus said that he wanted to be a mother hen to gather his chicks, and then to be able to say right after
now
that,
you have permission to be in drag.
Well, not just that, but that gender is a construct. If you're a pastor,
He makes a metaphor.
You know that the Bible says that he created them male and female. Gender cannot be a construct. This guy needs to get punched in his heretical face.
Yeah. Keep listening.
That might be a hate crime. Yeah. I don't care. I want to punch him in his heretical face, Gabe.
So I'm going to rewind that so y'all can hear that again. Those of you who are just baffled.
A mother hen longing to gather up her chicks. Gender is a construct, you see. And if Jesus can be a mother hen, then you can dress in drag.
What?
I've even heard it said that Jesus was, and humanity is, God in drag.
What?
Okay.
Again.
Why do you want to make me angry? Do you like it when I get angry?
Yes,
Does
God
it make
is
for
neither
better
male
shows?
nor female. Okay, God, we give him the he title because his son did. He said, Father.
God and humanity how did he say that God is drag? Like his relationship with humanity? Is that what he's talking about here?
I think what he's inferring, because it's, genderless society, if you take it all together, I don't even know. Caleb, I am lost at this guy completely.
It said that Jesus was, and humanity is, God in drag.
Jesus is.
Keep playing it. Let's.
So let me say this again for those of you in the back. Drag is holy.
I'll tell you what.
I want to punch
That guy,
him so hard.
here's the thing. We don't have to, because when that guy
Stands
meets
before
the
God.
Lord, he's not going to stand. That
he's
guy,
gonna
there's
be
no way God
vaporized.
lets him stand. That guy, when he's before the Lord, boy, to be a fly on the wall for that one, Gabe.
You can say Jesus is loving. You can say God loves his children. You can say God loves all of his creation. All those things are true. But a man dressing up as a woman, there's nothing holy about that.
It's sexual perversion, and especially as of late with these drag queens who want to go in after your kids, go and do these drag queen story hours and stuff. The Bible's pretty clear about those that would corrupt the children and the millstone that should be put around their neck. Look, this guy is not a pastor. I want to find out what church he goes to. I have my guesses. Methodist, perhaps, maybe Presbyterian. I don't know, but yeah, this guy needs to get dragged out of his church and not be allowed to preach or teach anywhere.
A couple of tweets that are, making their way after this is today's blasphemy at work. This guy doesn't worship God. This guy worships Baal and Molech. Well said. God, Jesus, and Bible good. Church, individual, man-made religions bad. I don't know. You get people coming in and kind of hijacking this. This here kind of gives you an indicator where you're at. You can say you are here on the map. If you're kind of like thinking to yourself, well, it's good that the community hears about Jesus through these individuals. I'm just warning you, this Jesus is not Jesus. So when it's actually worse for you to hear this, because it makes you think you're safe from the wrath of God. And the most loving thing to do to somebody, Caleb, when they're crossing a street and a Mack truck's headed for them is to tell them the truth, scream at them.
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
Hurt their
You're
feelings.
in danger.
Yeah, like that is. We do not want to love someone so much that we send them to hell. And that, I mean, this is an extreme case of this, but it's definitely, we talked about this, I think, many times, where pastors and Christians, we don't want to offend people. And so we just love them all the way down to their final destination, which is hell.
So what the heck is a forever chemical?
Yeah, so now that you've gotten me good and angry, Gabe, like that was your story.
Forever chemicals. I'm excited to learn about the EPA is actually doing something.
This is good because this got me spinning down a rabbit trail that I love. And I just started finding more and more. And Gabe's got some great slides that we're going to be able to show for our audience. So if you are listening to us on ACN, I do highly recommend that you go to our Facebook page or YouTube, right? Is that where we're at? Okay, go and watch these, because these are going to be really fascinating for you to see. Remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But I heard a story as I was on my way to dropping my kids off at school, and it was talking about the EPA and how they're going to limit these toxic forever chemicals in drinking water. Now, this is a big endeavor for the EPA, and it's, typically I hate the EPA, but if we're going to clean up our water supply, 100%, I'm with them on this one. It's going to be a very difficult thing to do because these chemicals have been in the ground actually for quite some time. These are chemicals that were, you find them in a lot of like fire suppression. So they found them actually over at Fairchild. They found them over at Camp Lejeune for the Marine Corps as well. So they're in that. Now they've been in things is even as benign as like dental floss. You can find these things, but they're called PFAS, which is basically a polyfluorinated substance, highly toxic, and they do not degrade. So they're in the drinking water, and the EPA is going after them. Okay, fine. That's a good story. Here's the problem. When I started looking at what these PFASs are and where you can find them, there's a whole lot of stories that we can really discuss on this that they don't necessarily want you to see.
And what's interesting too is we found out through the movie Died Suddenly, this says these PFAs also increase birth complications, Caleb.
Number of birth complications.
That, babies are literally looking like science experiments in utero now. So keep going.
Yes. So specifically when there's a high exposure to this chemical, it is reducing weight, birth weight. There's a lot of different issues that can come about as far as health wise. Now, as I was saying, this is in stain resistant carpeting, nonstick cookware, ski wax, dental floss, commercial firefighting foams, and food packaging. All right. But they have been found all over the United States. In fact, 98% of Americans have detectable amounts of the PFASs in their blood and tissue. But it's specifically harsher towards children. Now, let's keep down this rabbit trail.
Yeah,
all right.
This is where it starts to get weird.
PFAS exposure found to increase risk of severe COVID-19 as well. All right. So Here we go. Anyone who has this exposure to this toxic forever chemical had that increased risk of severe COVID-19. All right. Now, why would this be important for the rabbit trail that we're currently on? Well, where else do you find these PFASs or these toxic forever chemicals? Where possibly could these be found? Oh, in your masks. All those masks that you were wearing to protect yourself from COVID-19 all had this toxic chemical in it, which was found to increase the risk of severe COVID-19. Why isn't anybody talking about that?
So the COVID-19 mask contains a PFAS.
Yes.
Polyfluorinated, what I don't know.
Substance. Yes. That was in almost every single one of the masks that you were wearing, whether it would be the cloth one, the N95s, all of them had this toxic chemical in it, which increased your risk of severe COVID-19.
Awesome.
Isn't it?
Awesome.
Now let's look at some maps, Gabe. This is what I'm talking about with the extreme exposure, because this is actually perhaps where it gets even more interesting to me, is there is a map where you can see, go to the other one, actually, the blue one first. This map shows that where the highest concentrations of these PFASs are in the United States. And as I'm looking at this map, I know you have it, but as I'm looking at this map, the highest concentration of it is within the eastern seaboard.
So right here.
Yes. So you can see that, like, New York, Boston, there's a high level of this. Now, there is also a very high level as well in North and South Carolina. But then over on the West Coast, you can see San Francisco, LA, San Diego also has a very high dose of this, as well as kind of in the Chicago area also, Gabe.
But do notice this as well. When we were talking about this off air, you don't see a whole lot. This is right here, the PFAS detection locations all over the United States. This is the EPA releasing this information. You don't see, interestingly enough, much going on in Idaho. You don't see a whole lot going on over Utah. You don't see, and of course, you don't see anything going on over the United States where we live, Spokane, Washington. You see
Quite a bit in Denver.
So just remember that, because
yes.
I say that because I think there's something about our water systems here that are obviously we do live in a highly populated area.
But it's not, because another high level of concentration, Gabe, is in Alabama, which doesn't have a high population density. There's not a lot of major cities in Alabama, and yet you can see that there's quite a lot of these PFASs in there.
The whole quandary is, you might try to say, well, it's just a coincidence. These maps look identical to what, Caleb?
Two, as we move on to the next one, this next map is going to show you, Gabe, COVID deaths inside the United States. And Gabe, we're going to have to jump back and forth for our audience that's actually viewing this online, because the maps look eerily similar to me.
It's weird. Once again, you see a high density over in Alabama. You see not so much over Utah again. This is identical.
The eastern seaboard has been hit the hardest. You can see that. There's a ground zero. If this was a nuclear strike, you could see that would be the biggest area that had been hit. You can see that LA, San Francisco, San Diego also have a lot of hits there with COVID.
You see the maps? I'm going back and forth. Those of you who are online with us right now, I have COVID deaths. So interactive map. This is on Bing. This is COVID deaths. And you see the population density locations. Okay, y'all see that? Then if you want to see the interactive, now this right here is PF.
And a lot of these, if you're looking at these deaths and cases throughout the United States, you can see that a lot of them are also, especially in the major like deaths and cases, you can see that these are states that were heavily pushing the mask mandate, Gabe.
Yeah.
You've got the New Yorks, you've got Chicago, Illinois over here, you got LA and San Francisco. These are the areas that were really, really pushing, you wear your mask all the time.
So guys, between train derailments with toxic chemicals going into the air, into you and I talking about, it looks as if the batches, it's not even looks as if, the batches of COVID-19 vaccine that we talked about and aired, man, there's a high probability of us getting kicked off of our platforms talking about all this. But we showed you Pfizer and other companies had different strain doses in cities like Austin versus cities like Sacramento. So high, liberal population groups in Alabama aren't as prevalent. But what we would see is in red state areas, higher deaths as a reactive portion to the vaccine. It looks, Caleb, like once again they're targeting population areas of conservatives.
Well, not necessarily with the PFASs. I don't see that, but I do agree with you. Yes, that has been proven that a lot of the toxic vaccines were sent over into the red states. I think specifically Arizona was one of those states
right.
that was mentioned on that. But with this, what I'm seeing, and I have not seen anyone talking about this. I could be mistaken, but I have literally seen no one talking about the correlation between the PFASs inside of the masks and the COVID deaths throughout the nation, but the maps are lining up to it. But Gabe, the greater point in all of this is, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to get healthy. You got to start purifying your water. You cannot trust what's in your water. There are plenty of systems out there. The Berkey is probably one of the best, and we're not even affiliated with them, but I'll give them a plug there. You start purifying your water. You start watching what you're eating. You start taking a lot of vitamins and minerals, good ones, not the kinds that you can get at grocery stores and mini marts and things like that. But
Stop
protect
drinking
yourself.
pop. Stop drinking.
Oh my
Stop
gosh,
drinking
yes.
carbonated beverages that are, especially things coming, right there in your grocer's cabinet. If you're going to drink something that's sweet, man, get something that's a little bit more expensive, that's cleaner. Like they have natural soda now, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. So do all of that. And then also, for the love of God, please stop wearing masks.
Yeah.
Like, you virtue signalers out there, you left us. You're never going to listen to us. It doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter what science we give you, because science is your God. But it doesn't matter if it's coming from a far-right shock jock like Gabe and I are, according to Vice. But if you're not going to listen to us, even though science is your God, if you're a conservative, if you love Trump or America or Jesus Christ, and you're still wearing a mask,
it's pretty rare. Like,
I know it is, but
what's
you
funny,
see it
what's funny is
sometimes.
today that, Trump Tower, there was people that they believed to be fake that were out there at Trump Tower trying to say stuff about today. And they even had like shofars and stuff, and they're trying to make them look crazy. In my opinion, they were all wearing masks.
Yes.
There's no Trump supporters gonna be wearing
currently
masks.
in New York City, they actually have signs up all over businesses that say, because of the rise in theft and crime, if you are wearing a mask, you will not be allowed entry into the store. So they've done a complete 180 on that one. But if they're not masking up, ladies and gentlemen, you got to stop wearing these masks, especially since now you have proof here, which we have just brought to your attention, that these masks have a toxic chemical in it that make you more susceptible to COVID-19. How does that make any sense? Why was Fauci pushing this? Why were all of them? Why were the scientists, the medical advisors, why were they all pushing
humanity?
Yeah, Georgia Guidestones. There's your answer right there. They want to reduce the world's population. Vaccines is one of the ways that Bill Gates said that we could actually, or that they could, not we could. We don't want to be part of it, but he said that they could do that through vaccines.
Yep. They have to limit population.
I knew I was going to get heated here, Gabe. You made me angry with that ridiculous pastor. I don't even want to call him a pastor. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please go to churchofstate.media. Take advantage of all of our fine sponsors. Share this episode because, like I said, I don't know anybody that's talking about this specific issue. Church and State is sponsored in part by the Constitution Party, empowering you to put faith into action. And with that, Church and State is out.
God bless.